Listen up, SaaS founders and agency owners, because the average software agency has a massive, glaring leak that they completely choose to ignore. And no, it's not their traffic, it's not their sales pipeline, and it's definitely not their feature set. It's the month 2 drop-off. I mean, think about it. They spend hundreds of dollars to acquire a user, only to watch them quietly cancel inside the first 60 days. So in this explainer, we are diving deep into the advanced mechanics of client onboarding and the exact CRM architectural strategies you need to eliminate churn and engineer retention right from day one. Because the reality here is just devastating. 40%. Marketplace data shows over 40% of sellers and users simply quit when their onboarding drags past 2 weeks. Just think about the massive opportunity cost there. You've won the deal, right? The contract is signed, the invoice is paid in full, and yet nearly half of that hard-earned acquisition is immediately put at risk simply because the integration process takes too long. So why do your users leave so fast? Well, it all comes down to the immense friction of manual onboarding. If a client doesn't hit their first core milestone or see some kind of immediate system value, within those first 14 days, they disengage. They stop opening the app, they stop replying to your account managers, and ultimately, they hit cancel. The root cause of this massive revenue leak is that you're literally forcing humans to do a systems job. To solve this, we're going to rely on a highly systematic blueprint. We'll start with the SaaS churn crisis, then look at the true cost of manual onboarding. After that, we'll build out some automated workflows, dive into time to first value, and wrap up with a hard data case study on slashing churn.
All right, part 1, the SaaS churn crisis and the dreaded month 2 drop-off.
Here's the harsh truth. Waiting until month 2 to fix your retention problem, it's already way too late. Software adoption requires active handholding during those first 14 days. If a new user logs into a totally blank dashboard and has to somehow guess how to connect their custom domain or set up a pipeline, they mentally check out the exact second they hit that friction. The retention battle is won or lost in those first 2 weeks, period.
Moving right along to section 2, the cost of manual onboarding and its friction points.
Manual processes are basically a bottleneck for any scaling agency. The average business is out there spending 3 to 5 hours manually onboarding every single new client. And without structured workflows, every client gets a totally different, inconsistent experience. Emails get lost in the shuffle, contracts are delayed, and you have absolutely zero real-time status tracking. This doesn't just stress out your new clients, causing a massive spike in support tickets, but it literally steals critical hours away from your team's high-value revenue-generating activities. And it is a stark contrast between the old way of doing things and the engineered way. Manual tracking is entirely subjective and super prone to human error. But predictive engagement scoring? That's an objective, fully automated system tracking user activity on a 0 to 100-point scale. Positive signals, like opening emails quickly or showing up to a kickoff call, add points. Negative signals, like ignoring a contract, deduct points. If an automated score drops below 50, boom, the system instantly flags that account for intervention. It completely bypasses human oversight.
Let's dive into part 3, building automated workflows and dialing in that CRM architecture.
To build a truly bulletproof product experience, you need a dedicated pipeline that runs on autopilot. These are the critical, sequential stages that confidently move a client from a freshly closed deal to a fully activated user. You trigger the automation the exact moment the contract is signed. Then, the intake form is automatically deployed, the payment is verified, and the kickoff call is scheduled, all without a single team member ever having to type out an email. Now here is the complete GoHighLevel automated onboarding workflow that is literally engineered to eliminate churn. On day 1, the client drops into the pipeline and gets a highly personalized SMS with a direct Loom video link showing their exact initial setup steps. By day 3, the system checks if they've integrated their core channels. If yes, it sends a fun milestone celebration text. If no, it triggers an internal task for a support specialist to reach out. On day 7, we hit them with a feature value text, highlighting an easy win, like launching a pre-built review request button so they see immediate ROI. And finally, the day 14 retention intercept. The system automatically scans their sub-account activity. If their login or workflow usage is low, it triggers an invite for a free 15-minute optimization call to unblock them before they mentally check out.
Which brings us to section 4, time to first value, or what we call the pirate metric of retention.
Time to first value, or TTFE, fundamentally dictates your long-term retention rate. It is the pirate metric of retention, guys. When you reduce the number of days it takes for a user to experience actual, tangible product ROI, you massively minimize the chance of them drifting away. Faster ROI always equals stickier users. And you track this using flow analytics and real-time event tracking. Instead of just guessing if your users are finding value, you can see precisely where they are dropping out of your planned journeys. This allows you to go back and tighten up those day 3 and day 7 CRM triggers based on their actual behavior. No more guesswork. Finally, Section 5. Let's look at a case study on slashing churn using event-triggered automation in action. The baseline context here is something I think a lot of you will find highly relatable. We're looking at a B2B platform with 400 SMB customers, paying anywhere from $99 up to $499 a month, and they were dealing with a stubborn 15% annual churn rate that was just stifling their growth. Their users were totally overwhelmed by configuration options. In fact, inactive users who failed to take meaningful action for their specific use case in the first 30 days were 3 times more likely to churn at renewal. So to fix this, they isolated a pilot batch of 150 newly acquired agency accounts to run through this exact automated workflow. The results? Across the entire platform, this framework drove a massive 34% reduction in churn. But the microdata is even wilder. Within that newly acquired batch of 150 agency accounts, implementing this automated onboarding framework dropped the standard month 2 churn rate from a devastating 14.5% all the way down to a sustainable 3.2%. This single system successfully saved over $21,000 in monthly recurring revenue, and they did it without adding a single new support rep to payroll. The absolute key to saving all that MRR was speed. By converting that manual, stressful handholding into event-triggered automation, they slashed their time to first value from a really sluggish 22 days all the way down to just 8 days. Their users experienced real product ROI a full 2 weeks faster. And because of that incredible speed to value, their core setup activation rate skyrocketed to 89%. This proves definitively that structured automated milestones do not alienate your users. They actually drive them to successfully complete their configurations so much faster than manual follow-ups ever could. So if there is one crucial, authoritative lesson you take away from this explainer, let it be this. Your retention rate is won or lost in the first 14 days. You simply cannot wait until they hit the cancel button in month 2 to try and save them. You must build a milestone-driven CRM system that guides them to success on autopilot. Which leaves one final, absolutely vital question for you to ask about your own architecture today. Are your first 14 days actually built to convert users into lifelong advocates, or are they built to slowly engineer churn?